Government, I want to put the first assertion into the room. We believe in IBM that e-government really is taking place on the local government level. Nowhere on the federal side, not on the state side, but really on the local level, because this is where public service has to be distributed. Also service and not controlling, monitoring and surveillance of the population, as might have been the impression in the last presentation that we're using technology only to control. So here it's about services for, well, this is directly connecting to President Basescu's speech yesterday, where he said, well, in the new member states of the European Union, we are maybe not that willing to trust governments because of historic experiences. So services for is really important to consider here. And yes, it's about people, the citizens of the countries, and it's about enterprises, and in this way also about having services to develop and stimulate the economy. As it says in my personal title, I'm in Europe the technical leader for government. Part of my role is to, well, follow the European programs and try, of course, to do some type of business development for industries, and in particular, of course, our company. So the agenda for my hopefully short presentation is, well, what is smart government, what's the definition, then the different elements, and I will probably spend most of the time discussing about these elements of smart government and what they really mean for citizens and enterprises. In the deck, you find also some, well, if you wish, deeply technical information about the technology enablers as we see them in a global integrated picture. I will probably say a few sentences about that, but because these topics are very complex and our filling in itself, just take it as a reference point, and happy to discuss any questions in that area too. Okay. So I'm not really sure how many people have been sitting through the other sessions in the Global Forum. We were starting out with this one too, that the globalization we encounter in the whole world really poses new threats also to governments, and in particular also to local governments, where typically any event which threatens society appears is taking place in the first place, and well, containment in order to prevent the spreading of any of these dangerous or threatening results. We see them in each and every aspect of daily life, in traffic, as we have been talking about before, but also in the energy provisioning. Today, it's, well, public life actually comes to an end if there is no electricity. So different elements of critical infrastructure need to be protective. In the past, this has been, yes, water and electricity. More and more, it's ICT, it's industrial production, it's energy production and distribution around the world. So ICT more and more becomes an element of critical infrastructure in modern society. So all these threats have to be dealt with, and this again brought us at IBM to the innovation vision, which here is very easily and coarsely defined. So it's smart, and we had the elements there, instrumented, interconnected, and intelligent. But even more important, it's about the planet, and the planet consists of people in the first place, but also of a company, institution, industries, governments, and man-made systems like cities, or nature systems like water. Yes, and of course, we need to do it, we can do it, and out of global responsibility, we even want to do it. So, what does it mean for government to become smarter? Well, this is then now my personal, slightly derived definition. Governments need to become networked enabled. They have to act effect-oriented for all the different transformational drivers we have been seeing before. And most importantly, they have to be context and history aware. So what are the different disciplines for a smart government? Well, first, definitely, is serving the citizens. And serving the citizens, you find on this slide, has different flavors. It's about serving citizenship, meaning you have to be able to declare a birth, a death, a marriage, a move of residence. It's about education, from, well, kindergarten to post-doctoral education at the university, to actually professional renewal of knowledge during the whole life cycle of a person. It's about social services, from unemployment, retirement benefits, child allowances, whatever you can imagine there. It's about health and recreation, with all the e-health topics we have been discussing for 2 days now already. It's about energy and environment, very important about tax, payment and cash flow between not only government and citizens, but also between government, citizens and companies. It's about real estate, who owns the property, the land, and again, this is something primarily originated at the local government level. And yes, we have touched on travel and transportation. The next big block is serving businesses. Well, what do you have to do to manage your labor market? Again, the topic of tax and cash flow, trades and industries, what can be done from the governmental side to promote businesses to, well, establish their business, their trade in a certain community, municipality, or in rural areas. Therefore, again, it's about travel and transportation for enterprises, and energy and environment is something which might have to be dealt with slightly different if you go to the enterprise level versus the citizen one. The next well, pillar of smart government is the question of providing governance. Here the European Commission in particular has founded a Directorate General which is called Justice, Liberty and Safety. I think this is, well, innovation in itself, because neither states can be reached solely. They can only come as a triple, because the different measures in order to have justice, liberty and safety realized, they just need to be balanced out. Well, justice is public order, law enforcement, jurisdiction typically. Then liberty is about how do you live your democracy. For example, how do you incorporate, have e-participation, reach all your citizens, and of course the freedom of movement, there it's the inner body of the European Union, not only local environment. Safety has two flavors, the traditional defense part of it, but becoming more and more important is the discipline of protect and recover. Well, part of this one is crisis management, it's critical infrastructure protection, there it's really necessary to apply all these smart technology we have been hearing about. Then government needs to be effective. How can this be achieved? Of course,